Hi there, this is Ron Rogers, and airport travel, airline travel can be very interesting. Now, having been an airline pilot for 36 years and, of course, traveling as a passenger before that, you can see a lot of very interesting things. And TSA has never been more fun than it is now. When I started out, there actually was not security. I mean, back when I was a kid, you just walked onto the airplane and stuff like that. It was pretty amazing. And then, of course, we had the hijackings to Cuba, and that's when everything changed. So now it's a big, long process. But the nice thing is, there are people who appropriately dress for going through security. That's always nice to see. Now, you get the people who are a little concerned about, they don't want to take their belt off and that. So I guess, well, okay, you can um, maybe take it down to the basics there. But yeah, okay, yeah. And of course, what's good for the goose is good for the gander here. This is the female going in a bikini, kind of about the same thing. You don't have to take your belt off. And of course, everybody knows that you have to go through single file. And you can take scissors now on the airplanes. I think you're limited to a 3.5 inch blade. I think this might exceed what you're allowed. Now, these are kind of the decorative, for the ribbon cutting. It'd be interesting. I'm not sure if these are actually allowed in or not, but they are kind of big. And, of course, the stuff they confiscate, especially if you're down in like Texas, I mean, you could get several guns a day, just people trying to bring through security, but that's kind of just standard outerwear. Now, one thing that gets me is people go to a lot of effort to avoid putting the dog in a kennel below. Okay, I don't know if this would really qualify as a pet carrier or not. Of course, then you have the other thing. You would have the emotional support animals. Yes, you would have emotional support ponies. Okay, you bring your pony along. Yes, that's not going to go under the seat in front of you. Of course, they had emotional support pigs and everything. It got out of hand, and the airlines fortunately have cracked down on that a little bit. And it's nice to see that people maintain decorum. I mean, yeah, your nice bare feet on the seat. That, yeah, I hope they didn't have to aggress the aircraft in the winter, which I always found interesting. People would get on in, flip flops and stuff, and I would not want to go down a slide and try to escape a burning aircraft with a set of flip flops. But again, like I said, the attire that people wear can be really interesting. You really get quite a cross section of humanity. Of course, I flew a lot out of the West Coast, and yes, there are interesting things out there. And this, now I have to point out, if you wonder why cousins should not intermarry, I think this is a very good example of why cousins should never intermarry. And I really hope that these people are going to a convention of some sort or something. I really, really do. And of course, in the terminal area of a gate, a lot of times flights are delayed. So hey, you might as well get out the knitting, have something to do. And of course, if your flight is really delayed, get out the hammock, rest. Now, because you notice these chairs there, you notice all the hand rests. That's to make it difficult for people actually to bed down and sleep in those chairs, which a lot of people kind of sometimes would like to do. And I think it's also, O'Hare had a big homeless problem, people trying to camp out and stuff like that. In fact, I saw this one police officer. It was amazing. A Chicago police officer. He spotted this guy, and he and his buddy say, that guy," and he starts going towards him, and he's reaching to put his hand on his gun. Well, the guy they were ended up going after was a homeless guy that I guess he was a frequent flyer, not at the airlines, but of the couches there, and they spotted him, and I guess they tried to get rid of him, and he spotted him again, but to put his hand on the gun for a homeless guy, yeah, okay. But like I said, people try to sleep there. Sometimes if they're okay, unhoused, I guess is the word now instead of being homeless. But if you don't have a place to stay, airports, they're not too bad because a lot of people come and go, and people don't happen to notice that you kind of come but you never go. So it is a place where you can get away, and it's reasonably well heated and stuff like that. And maybe people leave extra food around. But if you're homeless, yeah, it might work, but they try to crack down on that. But the big deal is they make it so you can't sleep very well. Of course, some people find a way to get around that, which can be very interesting. I would kind of like to see how she got into that. You can only go so far in this situation, apparently, but it looks like she was able to get some decent shut eye. And of course, the boarding process can always be fun. People need to fly to Phoenix. That's all I can say. In and out of Phoenix. My record was 23 wheelchairs that they had to bring out of the cargo pit, and they bring them up the jetway, up the side stairs, which are fairly steep, and it's not an easy process. And we're coming in, and I had my second officer call that we needed 23 wheelchairs brought up, and it was like, are you kidding? No, we're completely serious. But the interesting thing was, these happened to be this wasn't an Octarian group. Kind of getting close to that. It wasn't a bunch of old people going somewhere. It was actually a sporting group that how they have these sporting groups that have these athletic wheelchairs for high speed getting around playing basketball and stuff like that. And that was actually the group. It was kind of interesting. I had a nice time chatting with him, because the whole thing of 23 wheelchairs was kind of an interesting number. And of course, you want to keep a hold of your bags. The bags is another thing. Now, yeah, I guess this is one way to make sure that nobody steals your bag. There's a number of reasons I could think of that I would not want to steal this bag. Yes, actually, the first time I ever flew on an airline, it was United Airlines. I was going out to the International Science Fair, and I had this suitcase. And it came out in San Francisco, and I was going to go get it. And this nice lady and her young daughter, they go, "No, that's my suitcase," and they pick it up and they go on. Well, it was my suitcase, and of course I was a high schooler at the time, and I wasn't. I didn't speak up, and it was 3 days before I actually got my real suitcase back. Another little digression there. Nice thing, if you have a problem, though, you can always find an emergency telephone, in case something goes wrong, unless it's out of order and then they tell you not to have an emergency at that location. I thought that was kind of a neat sign. And then, of course, it's always nice to have people when you finally do get to your destination, to have a nice little group of people who are there to meet you. Always with a smiling, happy face, just very happy to see you. Always fun. So those are a few airport, terminal type of digressions and discussions. I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable. Thanks for watching.